Aubrey again with another All Points Bulletin. This is related to the chain of custody violations. Without chain of custody, without a complete chain of custody for legal documents, any case related to those legal documents, maybe their mishandling or the abuse of them, cannot hold up. You cannot prove culpability in maladministration or the mishandling of records when there's no chain of custody for who touched them, who did this. The violations of chain of custody appears to be another deliberate abandonment of Texas election laws, and also the Help America Vote Act, which outlines the need to preserve paper records from the election. That includes chain of custody. The Secretary of State has a whole memo related to chain of custody. And to go along with that memo, a whole PowerPoint presentation. And it's in-depth. But they don't seem to care about local officials just abandoning that process. This is another example of the Secretary of State waiving the necessity to follow not only federal law and state law, but their own Secretary of State advisory codes. Another example is the early vote tapes, and I'll get to that in just a moment. Without chain of custody, we cannot prove culpability, but that does not mean that there's no criminal charges to be filed. Incomplete chain of custody is a failure to preserve election records, and that's potentially, at the very least, a Class A misdemeanor. At the worst, a second-degree felony. So we are going to take evidence of missing, incomplete, or broken chain of custody from our local elections administration. We're going to take that to the sheriff. We're going to document it. We're going to do as much follow-through as we can, but we are not going to accept an unauditable election process. We're not going to accept that we just don't have those records to show you who handled these official election records, ballots, V-drives. We're not going to accept that. We're going to take it to the sheriff. The sheriff has absolute authority to enforce the law. Without a complete chain of custody, we may not be able to prove who mishandled election records that go missing or are damaged, but we can prove that the local election administration has failed to preserve the paper record related to an election cycle. And we will be asking for criminal referrals.